Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of The Random Robot Does Something Random. Today I'll be making a creme caramel cake. Step 1 in the process is to make the caramel. So we're going to need 150 grams of sugar, 3 tablespoons of water, 3 tablespoons of hot water for later, and a pinch of salt. In a small saucepan we're going to add our water and our sugar, and we're going to bring that to a medium-high heat. And about 5 or 10 minutes later, your caramel should start to look like this. You can see it's starting to change a caramel color, and we have to pay attention to it quite closely now, or else it will burn. So we can't leave it unattended. And a good sign of this is you can see the bubbles are starting to get a bit smaller. It's getting more thick. As you can see, it's also smoking a little bit. The darker you make your caramel, the more bitter it's going to be. So you want some bitterness, but not too much. So at this point, I think I'm going to turn the heat off. And I'm liking the color it is right now. So I'm going to add the 3 tablespoons of hot water along with the salt into the mix and remove it from the heat entirely. And be careful, the steam will burn you. So I'm just going to transfer this to the molds I'll be using. And in this case here, I got 6 glasses. And these are heat proof, and I'm going to use all the caramel. And if you notice I have an ice bowl there, that's just in case I get any caramel on myself. I'll be able to dip my hand in it quite quickly. I'm going to set these aside to cool and firm up, and once they are, I'm going to make the custard. So I'm just going to mix together 1 egg yolk, 2 whole eggs, 60 grams of sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla, and 320 milliliters of milk. We are using 1% milk here, but you could actually use whole milk or 2% or 3% milk if you want something a little more richer. So we're just slowly blending the eggs and egg yolks and the sugar all together. And once that's well mixed together and the sugar's dissolved, we're going to add our milk and vanilla. It is also a good idea to have your milk warmed up a little bit, so we just warmed it up for a few seconds in the microwave. And the next step we're going to do is we're just going to strain it to move out any large egg solids. You don't have to do this step, but it will make it smoother, and you won't have those little lumps of egg in it. So we'll set that aside for now. We'll get on with making the cake batter. You're going to need 1 whole egg, 1 egg white, 35 grams of sugar, 35 grams cake flour. You can use all-purpose if you need to. 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1 tablespoon of honey. Using a hand mixer, we're going to blend together the egg and egg white. We're going to add our 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and we're going to add our sugar as well. So our mixer is set at high speed, and we're going to continue to blend this until it becomes a light yellow and it's quite frothy. And we also have to remember to add the honey. The honey is optional, but I find it brings a little extra flavor to the cake portion. So as you can see here, it's actually become quite light in color and quite frothy. And at this point, we're going to slowly fold in the cake flour, and we're going to be gentle with it so as not to break all the air bubbles. We want to maintain as much of that airiness as possible. So again, we're going to be folding it. We're just going to be slowly folding the egg whites over the flour, and we're just going to wet all the flour. When all will be done, we can't see any white flour anymore. Once we can't see any more white flour anymore, we know we're ready. So at this point, you want to make sure your oven is preheated to 120 degrees Celsius or 320 degrees Fahrenheit, and that the caramel is cool. And we're just going to top off each one of these glasses and evenly distribute the custard. And once that's done, we're just going to top it off with the cake batter. At this point, I also have a kettle on, boiling some water that we're going to need. So we're going to transfer these to a baking tray, and we're going to fill up the tray with boiling water, preferably halfway up the glasses. And it is safer to do this while it's in the oven than on the tabletop, but we're just doing it here for demonstration purposes. So we're going to transfer these to the oven and bake at 320 degrees Fahrenheit or 120 degrees Celsius for about 45 minutes. And once they're done, you should let them cool in the fridge for several hours, at least 2 hours, and they will set up. And let's dig in here, and we'll see what we have. And look, dry cake. Who wants that? So that's not how you're supposed to eat them. What you should do is actually take a clean knife, and you're going to slide it down the edge of your glass or your mold. You're just going to run it around the edge. So I'm just loosening the cake and the custard from the side of the glass. Just going to take whatever I'm serving it in and put that on the top and flip it upside down and give it a good shake. A couple good shakes usually can do it. You can see the air bubble popping up on the top there. We're just going to let that release slowly. Doesn't that look much better? And right now that caramel is seeping into that cake, making it moist and delicious. Now, if you find your caramel is too thick, you can always set your glass into some warm water. Just coming up to the level of the caramel before service will make the caramel more runny. Again, thanks again for watching The Random Robot Does Something Random. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like and subscribe.